the few writers who is a successful novelist and a poet. How do you approach these two different fields of writing? Do you have an affinity for one over the other?
I think I do have an affinity towards poetry. It's like an old dress that you wear, which you're very, very comfortable with. So that's how I think I feel about times when I get back to writing poetry. I feel like I'm back in my old comfortable sari. So in a sense, prose is something that I've learned recently to do, unlike you, who's been working with prose so closely for so many years. But I think what I bring to my prose is also a lot of my own training as a poet, in a sense. I still think for me images are very important. And the same sort of close way in which one works with words in poetry, I think that's a skill that you automatically carry over in the writing of prose. So I think it helps, it feeds into each other in a way. I think still poems come more easily to me. For me, I find structuring a novel, structuring my first novel especially, was a huge mess to begin with, because I was doing it by myself and it wasn't like an experiment. I was enjoying it, but there were moments when I thought I would just go mad, because I had this huge narrative in my head and I had no idea how to take it forward, and the bits and pieces that finally never got used for the final draft. So much of that. I mean, I think half the novel actually didn't get used in the final version, because it was such a mess structuring. I mean, I think that's my problem, because I had not been trained in the writing of a novel. So, I think I am more comfortable in a sense still with poetry.
You have your first novel. This is your first novel, and writers have a tendency. We tend to use autobiographical elements in our first novel, and I feel that you have avoided that. You've written about young people, remarkably well about young people. You've avoided the autobiographical self, and was that intentional?
I'm so glad. I think you're one of the few people who's actually read that into my work, that it is not an autobiographical because most people come and sort of straight, short of asking me, did you also have a white American boyfriend? I mean, they just sort of assume it is autobiographical, and it was not. In fact, I think in a way it was a deliberate reversal of a number of things I had gone through myself. I did spend some time in Santa Cruz, so the place was real to me, continues to be real to me. But other than that, I was very sort of careful about not putting myself out in that obvious way. I tried and avoided that, and I'm glad it seems to have worked. So.
What does the Chennai festival mean to you? You must have attended the last year's as well. This is my first experience, so I'd really like to know what it means to you.
Last year, of course, it was different because I was on one of the members of the jury for the Best Fiction Award. So I was looking at it from that perspective, and there wasn't this sort of glorious festival, feel to it last time. It was just a short affair and award ceremony and so on. But I'm really excited by this, and excited not just for myself as a writer, but for all my other fellow writers, my students from IIT, because I think it's a great experience to have this sort of thing happen in your backyard, not have to travel to the north, to Delhi, to Jaipur, and there is so much talent. And as Leela said yesterday, it's such a creative city, and there's so much creative energy. We have dance, we have music, we have other forms of thing, and it's all actually goes back to literature. And why it is that we didn't have a literature festival, I don't know. Very glad the Hindu is sort of doing it. Let me also I'd like to also ask you a few questions about your work and so on. I remember having been in a conversation with you with regard to your book, The Story That Must Not Be Told, and I remember reading that book and admiring not just the way this book is written, but also thinking about what it must have meant, must have meant for you, to do this work, to do creative work so consistently and for so many years. Because people are often one book wonders. You write a book and then you run out of steam, you run out of ideas, you run out of energy, or life takes over. And in your case, you have a rich, busy life, as everybody knows. You're a surgeon and so on. So how is it that you kept up that intellectual stamina and the physical stamina required to write not just one book and abandon it, not just one good book, but so many good books, and not just fiction, but I think you've also sort of written some non-fiction. You've done thought about various other things. How do you do that?
I didn't know it was anything extraordinary to write more than one novel. I think it's standard once you become a writer and once you have put your self out at that in that risky place where people are going to read, literally read into your inner world, I think it just has to carry on if you have a passion for it. Also, what keeps me going is the fact that I am particularly interested in probing minds. I'm interested in seeing the world through other perspectives, because my perspective may be something. I want to create characters and then enter their heads, enter their thoughts, and see how does the world look to them. And that is the thrilling experience that I have when I write. I love to inhabit the characters, and from there the story develops. And I hope that by the end of it I have got something that is worthwhile for readers to hold on to. I always feel a book, there are two things, two qualities a book must have, or the quality that we must not miss is that what was already said by a writer, Simenon, who said that it's just like a statue must have weight, an apple must have juice, so that is the essence that you're looking for in a good book, and it's striving towards that keeps you going.
I was also wondering about your the fact that you're sort of very well traveled. You've been to many other festivals apart from this one. How do you rate this particular festival in relation to, say, the Jaipur festival? That's one. And also, other than the fact that you sit down and you write your book and so on, there's this whole other thing that follows it, the energy that's required to put it out, to publish it, to sort of put it out in the public realm, and all the reviews that you face, all the feedback that you get, and all the recognition that you've got, so recognition that you so richly deserve in terms of prizes, and being shortlisted for the DSC prize and so on. The sort of energy that's required for the rest of that, post writing of the book, do you find that hard to muster up that sort of energy? And do festivals like this give back energy to you, do you think?
Good question. I haven't been to that many festivals. I'm happy I don't have to go to too many festivals, because I think the flavor is lost if you have to do 8 festivals a year or something. I want to attend few festivals which I remember till the next festival. This means a lot to me, the Chennai festival, because of its, in spite of the number of people who are able to attend, I'm amazed at the number of people who must love books and who are interested, who attend. There is a feeling of intimacy. I mean, we can sit and talk to people, everywhere, and we can talk. It's a lovely atmosphere, and that you do not always find it in festivals. And that is, I think, a quality I hope that continues, no matter how big it becomes or what jet-setting stars you bring down here. But I hope that quality remains, because the people the speakers, the writers, and whoever it is who's on the platform, the thinkers, they need time. And the people who are listening need time. And if you have a blur of people coming and going, I think the value is lost. And I think it's extremely essential to keep that in mind while deciding the immensity of the festival. I don't think it should be about size. It should be about keeping a quality, the festival. And as regards the books, once they're published, how do I get the energy to promote? I wish I didn't have to do anything. I hate having to do anything after writing the book, but unfortunately it's become almost like a duty that we have to be faithful to so many other events that we have to attend and start being publicized and put our face forward. I must say that publishers do try very hard to help a book to survive, and books have to survive in this world where there is such short attention span. And it's so delightful to find especially young readers come to you and talk to you about books, or send you mails, or pop up on Facebook or whatever, and they tell you how much. I mean, those things are very, very important. It's very important. But I'm still hoping that in the middle of all this hype that's going on, where prizes and festivals are projecting us and making us public faces, I hope in the middle of all this that there is the recognition of true talent, and that we all discover those merits in writers, and we respect that we really look for that essence, and not only for the, because there are lots of soulless books being written, and which even go on to be feted and talked highly of. But I hope as good readers we can find the good books, and the good books are encouraged, because in every time, in whatever time, whether it is 2011 or 1811 or 1911, whenever the good books were coming out, it's just that they need to be found. And I hope this is going to happen, and we are going to get more of good writing. Yeah. And the festival is only going to help that. And this festival, this type of festival, there's a lot of serious focus. At the same time, it is not like it doesn't feel like it's weighing you down. I think we need to retain that.